Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for this really impressive talk. I have a question. You made it very clear that the population growth is one of the biggest threat to humankind. Now, whenever you have a problem, you could address it in two ways. You could try to cure the symptoms,
Yeah.
or you could address the root cause.
Yes.
Isn't what we do with the worldwide R&D not just trying to cure the symptoms?
No, but here's the problem. Go to an African nation and try and control birth. You've got major religions in the world that urge people to have many children. You've got undereducated populations that don't understand how to prevent pregnancies. You've got some populations that don't understand the impact of what's happening. So it's a massive educational problem, absolutely. Should massive amounts of money go into it? Absolutely. And I think people do. We're not so good at that. So we were running a program called the National Children's Study. And the idea was that we would understand everything about a child from -9 months to 21 in terms of what was in their house, what kind of food they had, what the water was like, what the atmosphere was like. It was a very ambitious program funded by NIH. We were about 3 years into it when Congress killed it. Now, we were really good at collecting data. We were world-class statisticians. But we weren't very good at knocking on doors and saying, are you going to have a baby? That wasn't our strength. So somebody else has to do that. So we're not in the business of that kind of problem solution. But I absolutely agree. You'd love to solve the source term. But that's not what we're good at. We're good at engineering and statistics, and we're happy to inform people. We do work on trying to prevent HIV. We have people in country educating populations about that. So we do it in a small way, but we're not like the Bill Gates Foundation. That would be really the kind of operation that, well, in fact, does try to help.
So what do you think is the true reason why we are not trying to address the root cause?
I think people are. I just don't think they're being very effective because it's telling people how to behave is a difficult problem. And you put that on top of an educational mismatch or a religious mismatch.
But don't we have massive winners of the population growth who might influence the public opinion too much?
Yes. Join my club. Yeah, sure. No, these are massive problems. And, I think they're political problems. And I dabble in politics. I answer questions, but I'm not a politician. I'm not hedging. It's just another set of problems that I'm not skilled at thinking about. So what I look at is how do you mitigate it? But would you rather solve the root problem? Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this. Thanks a lot for the talk. It was really good to have you. But my question is, you said a lot of your products, what you invent, is commercialized by other companies for who comes and who do the research, and you also aid in the research. But there's some products, such as the healthcare products, which are like medicine, necessary medicine for places like Africa or Asian regions. There, if those products, if you commercialize them, I think they will abuse the research or abuse the product. So do you think that Patel can go into mass production in future? As CEO, do you think you will have this kind of steps where you will go into mass production of this kind of products, not all the other products, only specific healthcare products which are really important for our growth?
Yeah, I mean, we have developed and produced vaccines for specialized areas. Again, I mean, there's a value chain You know, and you get to a point, you say, should I license it to somebody who knows what they're doing, or shall I build it? It's a make or build decision. And philosophically, Battelle had always been licensing. And then starting, you know, about when I joined, we started saying, well, hang on a minute, all the money's in the manufacturing. Maybe we should manufacture. And then we discovered how good or bad we were at manufacturing. So manufacturing is different than R&D. So we were building these biological detection systems, and we were stumbling. So eventually we bought a warehouse 15 miles away. We put people in jumpsuits. We had Japanese kaizens, just-in-time delivery, and we hired people who knew how to manufacture, and things got a lot better. So you have to understand what you're good at. And if you're not good at something, but you want to do it, you've got to be willing to develop that culture. And we've done that successfully several times. But here's something interesting. That bluefin underwater vehicle, that was an MIT mini company. And we bought the company, and it was operating out of an old bookbinders in Boston. It wasn't even on the water. So over a period of 10, 12 years, we built the company up. And we took it away from the bookbinders, put it by the water. It makes sense. You can put stuff in the water. And then something very interesting happened. We started building up what we thought we could do for commercial and government markets, building those machines. Those machines are about $5 million a pop. So if you build one and it doesn't get sold, that's a big impact on our bottom line. So, and then there's a recession or a sequestration of money. And you suddenly find you've got all these people, highly talented, and the orders have dropped off. And that's called a standing army problem. The army's not moving, and you're paying. And that just means you're losing money. Okay, the people who bought the company, we were worried about selling it because there was a shortfall in the orders coming up in 3 or 4 months. And we were fully disclosing everything. There was a lot of interest in buying it. There were about 9 companies who wanted to sort of take a look at it. The one who bought it, we said, you know, in April, things... And they said, oh, we don't care. You know, they had a multi-billion-dollar business in undersea stuff. So they saw all those people as assets. They're not making bluefins. Okay, we'll put them over here. We didn't have somewhere to put them. So, you know, you've got to know in the business you're in, where do you have to cut off and give it to somebody who knows, who has scale or whose expertise is in that. It's fun at the beginning. But when you start really producing, you've got to understand what you're good at and either change the culture, do something differently, or recognize that maybe you've done your job and it's on to the next research thing and the development's best done by somebody else. That's how we think about it. Yes, sir.
My question is about NEON.
I'm sorry?
National Ecological
Oh, yeah, NEON.
Observatories Network, which was previously with NEON Inc.
Yes,
But the project was overrun by cost
yes,
and time.
yes.
And National Science Foundation fired them, and now this is with
With us. Yes.
So how long and how much it would take to complete that project? And who would provide funding for that?
Yeah, good.
Thank
I'm glad you know about it. Yeah, I would say this is an interesting business risk. But obviously, we worked very closely with NSF because they're the only people who have the money. And we looked at the structure of how it was being run. And we thought it didn't make a lot of sense and that we could do it much more efficiently with far fewer people, different methodologies, and we could deliver it in a certain period of time for a certain amount of money. And we negotiated. But you're right, it was in bad shape.
Thank you again for being here. I have a question relating to animal agriculture.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned that it takes up, like, animal agriculture is an undeniable fact that it causes some of the world's major problems, greenhouse gases, global warming. So I was wondering if do you have any hope for a sustainable future where animal agriculture is lessened, and maybe you can touch on some of the agro-business and politics to do with that, because I know it's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, it is.
But it's something that's very close to my heart.
Okay. No, it's a great question.
Yeah.
It's another one of these very, very tough questions. Again, I have a lot of hope for the future. You know, I believe humans ultimately solve a lot of problems. The woman who developed Priya is now a vegetarian. She claims she was before she studied sicknesses from chickens. I think there's all sorts of things you can do in agriculture that haven't been tested. For example, in Ohio, it's very easy to grow soybeans, and it exceeds the current market. So we started working with the Ohio Soybean Council about 10 years ago to look for alternative uses of soybean. And it's amazing what we now produce. For example, we produce a green de-icer for airplanes from soybean extract. So instead of spraying planes with alcohol that goes into the ground, we use a natural product. So there's some interesting side things like that. The issue around changing a world culture of meat eating to none, I think it's interesting to look at experiments like New York, where people have tried to make illegal the sale of half-gallon drinks of pop, you know. Trying to control food through legislation works if it's a health issue. But it seems to be the health issue is a very direct one. The broader issue of obesity and other things doesn't seem to play very well. So I think it's another one of the sociological, political issues that remain a big problem. But yeah, I have hope. I think people are making more and more interesting non-meat products. I think a lot of young people are attracted to trying it. And I had mixed experiences. My son only ate hamburgers at McDonald's. My daughter was a vegan. They were brought up in the same house. So I think it's hard to predict, but young people seem to be more willing to experiment with different diets. Certainly, I don't think it's not sustainable the way it's going. So, maybe if I started over again, I'd do politics. Any other questions?
I have one question.
Yes, please.
Last question.
Okay.
Have you benchmarked with a similar institution like you, with similar size, like French institution like CEA, which is operation with $5 billion US dollar?
Yeah.
So how you differentiate in terms of policy development compared to the CEA?
We have looked a bit at CEA, but we benchmark all the time, everything we do.
Yeah.
Everything financially we benchmark. We benchmark publications. We benchmark patents. We benchmark all the time.
And talk about the research orientation.
Yeah.
How many energy-related research, how many biology, life science, because they have all these kind of.
Yeah, we have
quite
all.
Similar,
yeah, we have all that data.
Yeah.
How many PhDs, masters?
Yeah.
How many foreign students or foreign members. So we draw, I mean, when you include the labs, it's an incredibly diverse population of international people. And yeah, we benchmark all the time. We end up doing about 70% national security, about 20% energy. But be careful, we manage 50% of the Department of energy budget.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because it isn't that big. Mm-hmm. It's called the Department of Energy. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do that much energy.
Okay. Okay. I see.
I mean, it does do energy, of course.
Yeah.
But it does about 4 billion, and we manage 2 of it.
Okay.
You might think it would be a much bigger number.
Okay.
Most energy research gets done in industry.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's thank again.
Thank you.
So what's on behalf of the City University. So
Oh, thank you.
One souvenir.
Thank you very much.
for
Thank you.
coming to us.
Beautiful. Oh, okay.